I don't think there's really a weak point in Splyce right now. I think they're just on stage 1, second at Anaheim. You can't really fault them for anything they're doing. I think they're playing the game how it should be played. Both teams are just as good as each other. I think the hard points are really going to decide the series. Pretty confident in winning the S&Ds, and I think they're probably the best up team in the game, so that'll be a struggle for us.
We know them. We know how they play well because we've been playing them for the past 3-4 years. It won't really make a difference preparing for it or anything. It's just whoever turns up on the day.
The key player to watch on Splyce, I think they're all worth to watch. I mean, all of them do their own roles. If one person isn't picking it up, someone will pick it up. We know what we're up against. They are a great team, and they can all do everything if they wanted to.
I feel like the thing that makes Red Reserve dangerous is they've got 4 players that just gel so well. You've got 2 slow players in Reese and Shawnee, but then you've got 1 player that's really unpredictable in Dave Marsh, and then Joe's the annoying one. He gets behind you, shoots you in the back, and then they've got full control. I feel like when they brought up Reese on, it gave him more slaying power. Reese, well, when I teamed with him, he brought a lot of slaying power. He brought a lot of map control.
I'd say the thing that stands out about Red Reserve is the fact that they know how we play. Obviously, being another European team, they're similar to our play style. I feel like they match up well against us, but I still feel like we're the stronger team.
It is time for the next match in the Red Reserve Splyce saga. Last time we went to a Game 5. Red Reserve only knows Game 5s. What'll be the outcome here?
Red Reserve, they have played 3 series this weekend. They have faced every other opponent in this pool. Every single game has gone to a Game 5. Maybe we were joking with the other analysts, some of the other casters. Is that going to continue to be the theme this weekend? I see no reason why it would change.
Yeah, and you got to think, like, could we have been in a position where maybe this series wasn't as crucial? Sure. But due to the fact that, Splyce drops a match last night, then Red Reserve come in today and take out a United.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at whoever wins this, they are certainly at least in control of their own destinies in this group.
What's a bigger surprise for you? Red being in the position they're in, or Rise Nation being 0-3 right now?
I guess Rise. We knew how good Red was. We know they can finish, in top 8 spots at the major open events. Rise, I guess, did I have them finishing 4th in this group? Yes, I did. But did I think they'd be in a spot where they're 0-3? And it's tough to argue that they're even going to be able to win a series. I mean, who are they going to beat right now? Their respawn does not look good. Yeah. Search has looked pretty solid, but
their respawn has not looked good. It's looked abysmal. I
think they won what, a couple of uplinks. Like it hasn't been great.
Yeah. So they obviously have some stuff to work on. They can still save their weekend, but they're getting closer and closer to a point. This is Rise Nation we're talking about, of where they need help from other matches, and certain teams losing, certain upsets happening. Either way, Red Reserve currently sitting at 2-0 in this group. If you missed their series versus Splyce, it went all the way to Game 5. They couldn't clutch up the Search and Destroy. Now, that wasn't the case in their other 2 series. They're right now 2-1 in Game 5s, and if they can keep that theme going this weekend, who knows? We did talk about, though, with the tiebreaker scenarios, though, how this could come back to bite them. If every series is a Game 5 and their map count's so split, it could come back to hurt them when it comes down to things tomorrow.
If you end up in a 3-way tie or something like that, certainly could. But Splyce, they were very frustrated last night, right? After the loss, I saw some excuses on Twitter, some complaining. They were frustrated. But, you come in today, you beat Rise pretty handily. Hopefully that kind of shakes that off. They get back into a rhythm. You expect them to handle in respawns here against Red Reserve, but at the same time, I thought that United was going to do the same thing to Red Reserve. They come out and they look fantastic really in the respawn modes.
If Red Reserve clutches up that Game 4 against United in that hardpoint, I think you, so far to this point, say that they're the best hardpoint team this weekend.
Just crazy.
That part of it's crazy. End, but yeah, they look consistently best. Everyone firing. The big difference for me is Joe is playing how Joe really should right now. On day 2, they mentioned how he was someone who needed to turn up today. He's done just that. Shawnee with the ERAT has been my surprise of the weekend, I think you could put it, up to this point. And then Urban and Rated are just playing like Urban and Rated should. And right now, Red Reserve, they look like the top 18 we saw at Anaheim.
They really, really do. But when are we going to see Splyce maybe in that kind of championship form? Because I know we've seen glimmers of it this weekend, but certainly not consistently right now, trailing to Red Reserve in this first hard point.
Red Reserve up by 18 seconds. They do wind up pushing on through for the break. Zero doing what he can to stay alive. As Jerd finally now getting involved in the slang. He started off this game 3-9. Now 5-10 after that 2-piece. Splyce will hold this time as we go into the half. It should be about a 5-second game as these teams remain as dead even as possible, which has just been what the series was earlier for Red Reserve when they faced United.
It's true. Well, one guy called out earlier today was Zero. He's currently on a 6 streak right now. Can we see how close he is to picking up streaks as he's 12-9? He's already got 25 off the Scorchers. He's an MVP caliber player, and Splyce needs that 0 right now. So far, so good, at least here in game 1, but he's tagged up and taken out before he can add on to those streaks, and we've got all but a tie game.
Tied up. I love to see it, man. This group has not disappointed at all, and it's only getting us even more excited for next weekend as well, when you bring in 4 more teams that you could say anyone could come out on top as long as they play to their abilities. Splyce, they've just looked a little bit more flat across, in my opinion, all 3 game modes, Maven. They lose an uplink yesterday where they get smoked by United when they just get outslayed on Precinct. Their hard point has looked up and down, and obviously S&D has really been nothing to shake a stick at for these guys this weekend.
Well, that's what's been kind of impressive for the opposite side of this, too, with Red Reserve. Like, yeah, they've lost a series, and yes, they've gone to mini-game 5s, but I feel like they've been very competitive in just about every game. I think you saw it in the United series. Every hard point basically within 20 points, a very tight uplink. Going to round 11, round 10 in search and destroy, whereas you've seen Splyce just be brutalized in some maps. Yeah. Specifically, we're talking about struggles in what? Throwback search and destroy, breakout hard point. There's a couple different ones where they've looked very, very vulnerable.
Well, Jerd right now still the main E-Rat inside the hard point for his team. He's second in overall objective time at 40 seconds. Mad Cat doing what he can to try to relieve some of this pressure in the hill. Unfortunately, you see the outcome of that there as Joe continues to stay hot, now 16-11. He's got an NV4 too. Thankfully for him, Zero was 1 bullet, so that's a quick cleanup there. As Red are now up to about a 20-second lead as they look to continue to grow this advantage as this second series of rotations goes on.
And you nailed it earlier. You said, whenever it seems like Joe's seeming to play to his capability and having strong maps, yep, Red Reserve are right in there or they're winning. The maps where he goes double negative and really, really struggles, they're typically losing unless somebody else has a heroic performance. But let's swap over to Urban, who does have FTL and a Scarab available.
I like this play. He gets he gets terrible timing though on the Mad Cat. You saw what his goal was there. He wanted a pinch on towards Bus. It would flip the spawns for his team. Shawnee trying to even things back out there as he gets the 2-piece. It's going to be a contest between both of these AR players as Mad Cat sits on the other side of the hard point. Typical bouncing back and forth between the 2 teams as they look to fight for control.
And a big part of why, they were able to push a long series to a team that maybe was favored against them in United, because they win that game 1 hard point, right? You're guaranteeing yourselves a lengthy series if you're able to do that. And right now, they look to be setting up a similar position for themselves. They haven't really had a chance to blow it open yet. Obviously, it's been back and forth, but a win here just knows you at least put yourself in a position to get to a game 4, game 5, put the pressure on yourself.
That was an awkward slide there for Mad Cat. He's going to want to forget that one. FTL jump now used by Urban. That's not going to work out for him. He wants to get that kill on rotation. Unfortunately for him, Bance gets the better of him there. 147 to 118, still a 30-second difference as Zero fights for the back control.
This is a spot that Zero has gone off at the first time through. And also just historically, how many times can you think of Zero in this spot?
Any AR player.
Yep, well, specifically Zero, I feel like I've seen him just go on like 6 to 10 kill runs so many times, whether it's uplink on this map or hardpoint. When he gets set up there, he just seems so comfortable dominating.
Listen, you set up Formal there, you set up Octane, you set up Zero in that position. It's such a perfect lane because there is no cover for the opposing players who are hopping through blue. You can just sit back there with all the confidence in the world to challenge any gunfight. Because of Zero's position here on this 4th streak, Splyce have now tied back up the game.
Half of Zero's kills have come from this spot in this hard point. I mean, that's really where he's taken over. Jerd now trying to make plays, but will fall. The pressure starting to mount towards Zero. He's got a little bit of help. That just fell. It's going to be him by himself and can't handle 2 players soaring at him. That's Urban rated. Joe actually involved 2 in the action to break into Statue.
Look what it takes to kill Zero. It literally requires everyone else on Red Reserve to kill the rest of Splyce until a point where they can finally get close enough to challenge Zero in the back of the map. As long as he's got a couple lead blockers alive, he's got nothing to worry about.
Zero has stepped it up, but who's probably been the most impressive and consistent for Splyce so far has been Mad Cat. You saw the great series he had against Rise Nation. Now he's sitting at 27 and 21 in this, but for Red Reserve, what can Rated and company do? He's got camo. He's working towards a Scarab. Rated certainly been impressing this weekend.
He has. I think it's been a little bit more of a quiet weekend, though, as the rest of his teammates have been the ones who've really impressed me with the numbers they've been dropping map by map. 160 to 155 now. Shawnee basically suicides to try to push the player out of the hard point for just a brief second.
You know, we talk a little bit about tiebreakers. You know, if it's not a three-way tie, if it's just coming between two teams in a head-to-head, this is important, right? Because Splyce wins it in the game 5. So if Splyce win this series, obviously they own the head-to-head over Red Reserve. But if Red can, you know, if they can beat them 3-0, 3-1, get a bigger advantage, they would take over control of that head-to-head. That's important in a group that looks to be very tight right now outside of Rise.
Every single week we get to those tiebreaker rules down to the wire where every map counts. These players and teams know that. There's been, what, 7 weeks of regular stage Pro League action between Stage 1 and Stage 2 at this point. We've seen ridiculous scenarios, and this is setting up to be one of the crazier ones up to this point. Bance actually pops the camo as Splyce want to invest a lot into this. They want these final 30 seconds.
Well, can they get them on the back of the camo is the question. As Mad Cat clears out one at side barn, it opens things up for Bance to come in. That was funny to see. Joe knew the camo was coming. He's just running. There's not much I can do in this spot.
At that point, you're just hoping you can shoot one of his teammates. You know,
right.
like, just kill someone else. Take one to the grave with you. Still the pressure from Red comes in. 3 players get weakened. No kills to show for it. Actually, rated team kills Urban. The worst part of that play from Red Reserve. Outside of that, though, they'll at least split that time. The camo from Splyce, I guess it works. You know, you wind up breaking in. You don't give up those 35 seconds to Red. You keep this game within striking distance. They're about to tie it back up again as we can see another lead change, Maven.
Reactive armor available for 0. You have reactive and camo available on the other side for Red Reserve. Close game. Payloads will prove crucial. But right now, it's the NV4-0 that's getting it done. Nice shots, and the players trying to use those back hair barrels.
Hair barrels.
Hair barrels.
No, it's not that type of game. As now, Splyce do have the spawns for the next hard point. Payloads will be key here. Rated, I'm sure, is going to save those for baseball when he can push towards that power position we talked about with 0 earlier on. If we can swap to 0 for a brief moment, I think he's about to be challenged. So here's what I want you to take note of. 0 has reactive armor, which some can consider to be one of the hard counters to active camo in situations like this. What I mean by that is because 0 can pop that reactive after the camo starts shooting at him, and there you just saw the reactive armor used by Shawnee to no avail. He can now use it as a reaction time. The second that he sees the camo get popped, he can use that to defend himself.
Well, now you're just all tied up basically in game and also in payloads. Camo for rated. Now going to be popped. 0 does have that reactive armor. Does the camo play come up huge? He's been tagged up. He's not getting anything from this so far. His teammates trying to help him, but it's a 2-piece from Mad Cat to close the door. He's set up in the back. 0 in his spot. He's been there every single time. You see him finally drop from the opposite POV.
See, 0, though, doesn't panic. He does not panic in that scenario and use the reactive. He knows he's getting the close spawns with his teammate at bowling, and he knows they have the number advantage. The sign of a great play right there. Still has the payload to use if they get in a dire situation. Love to see. Look, he still has it. He still has it to this point.
Holding on to it for now. No. Doesn't finish the kill, but they do have a 20-second advantage. Red Reserve trying to battle back, and maybe play clock comes into play. Only 27 seconds remaining there as well. We've seen every time I can think about it going to clock, it's been on throwback.
Oh, yeah, the only map that this really happens. Nice shots there from Shawnee. He's now 30 and 32, second in his team in total kills this map. Bance, again, the 4 streak. So many of his kills, and the objective, he's just eclipsed the 2-minute mark. That should do it. 250 to 211. Splyce strike first.
And that's a big win considering you trailed throughout most of the early minutes in that game. Red Reserve enjoyed a 20-point advantage for a lot of it, but you fight back. You get, honestly, everybody goes off at one point. You get a big streak from 0 on the first 2 statues. Bance starts to go off towards the end. Mad Cat was consistent throughout, and Jared was flying at people per usual. They get that map 1 win, and that's big. You give that up to Red Reserve, and again, you're just kind of guaranteeing you're going to in a long series where Red Reserve feels good about their ability to take wins that way.
Wondering if we'll wind up seeing a score breakdown from that map, but I'd love to see the differential on baseball hardpoint. It's one where if there's a money hill considered, it's that and Barn.
Certainly, yeah.
Barn, I think, was more 50-50, but baseball for sure. I think Splyce heavily took that one in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, every time we were watching, it was from 0's POV.
Yeah.
He was completely locking it down outside of really the last time through, and that's when Bance stepped it up. So first victory goes to Splyce. Up next, though, will be Search and Destroy. That is where Red Reserve has certainly been making some noise so far this weekend.
Yeah, Red Reserve, they've impressed me at times with their ability to know how to react to certain situations. There were some awkward ones earlier on Crusher when they faced off against E United, and they seem to always be in control of the situation. Joe did a good job of playing some off angles as well as Urban. You remember Urban laying outside that A-bomb door, Joe playing towards that back dozer, just making sure they could always wind up catching their opponents off guard. But yeah, that's why I wanted to see it. Barn actually wasn't as close as I thought it was, but either way, baseball, the 80-second difference there is the reason why Splyce was able to take that map 1.
You see Bance, we talked about the slang, but also the time of the hard point. 123 seconds for him. On the other end, yes, Joe had a nice game, maybe not so much in the objective, but you see that 1.10 KD dropping the 33 kills. I think they kind of need that in order to hang with a team like Splyce when it comes to the respawns.
Yep. Here's your best of 5 map breakdown. Throwback hardpoint does go to Splyce by a 39-second differential. Breakout S&D up next, and this one for me, I don't even know where I'm going to begin to call this. Precinct uplink will be 3rd, which I believe we saw Splyce really get smoked by E United on yesterday when E United outslay them quite drastically. Scorch hardpoint again. We've seen the struggle of Splyce yesterday against E United on that map. We saw Red Reserve beat E United on that map earlier. So this series for me has, again, all the signs of going the distance.
It really, really does. The guys prepping now for the game 2. Breakout, remember back in stage 1, that's when it first became, first was in the map rotation, and Red Reserve before, obviously, they had Rated added to the team. That's actually where they found some of their wins against top teams. I know Rated's been kind of vocal on him not being the biggest fan of how the map plays, but you need to suck it up and take control here in order to kind of keep your dreams alive in this series. But, Zero, guy on camera right now, we talked about his struggles yesterday. KD respawn, KD in search and destroy.
Everything, slaying numbers.
It's getting back to the norm today, though.
Well, it's funny, we were talking about how he's kind of in his own head. He's gone back to wearing what he wore in stage 1 when they saw success. The track jacket he has on, the shoes he's wearing. He's swapped reticles from day 1 to day 2, from the Triforce looking thing that he used back, on day 1 to now a completely different reticle on day 2 when he's rocking the K-bar. He's in his own head. We'll see how he can turn things around. I have a feeling, though, that Bance is going to drop some big numbers this map. I don't know why, but I just do.
Yeah, so let's say why.
I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like Bance is about to drop 13 and 7. Splyce is going to win by a round count of 6-3. And that's it.
All right, I'm looking at Mad Cat. I think he's been Splyce's best player this weekend. I'm looking at him to have a big game, and then on the other side, Rated, who is usually talked about being one of the better S&D players. He hasn't exactly been phenomenal there. He's been getting it done the respawn, but I'm looking for a big game from Rated. We're going to start off with him. He's going to be your bomb carrier. Also, all the pressure in the world on him is your camo.
All the pressure in the entire world. Shawnee, he's got that long-range gunfight in middle map. Joe clearing this B lane, a very spread-out offensive play. And this is something you don't see every day. 2 players pushing up towards B. Maybe looking for an overextension from Splyce on a rotation. Mad Cat will spot him. Here come the yellow arrows. And mind games. Look what Rated's about to do on the map. He should push on up here and go for a quick plan today. I love stuff like this from Red Reserve. All mind games.
Force the transition of Splyce as they've rotated over to B. Like you said, bomb now getting planted. Now, can Joe maybe get a fortunate timing to grab a kill as they rotate back? Let's look at Splyce, how they decide to take this. So they are going to push through. Is Joe going to spot it? There's 2 running right by him.
Oh my God.
No idea, no idea. Oh God, this could be devastation then for some of the Red Reserve players.
Yeah, look, they're not.
He has no idea, because he's calling it out clear. 2 end up pushing through. It's a 3v3 though. 25 seconds on the clock. Joe wrapping through, finds another. It's all on Bance and Jordan. Not a lot of time to work with.
And now Shawnee can go for the outer wall run and still check this bomb outside of cell block. One of the cheeky little spots he can get it. Not sure why he'd be charging forward there. Now it's a 2v1. They just have to watch middle map. They know he's here. He's going to try to pre-fire.
On it.
Can't get the kill. Will he get the defuse? No. Oh, down to the last second. Great challenge there in the end. I believe that was Joe to clutch up the round for his team.
Let's see it.
Wow.
It's going to be one very weak, and that Bance had to be so close.
It was the nade.
Nade tags them both. What a clutch. You saw Shawnee in the round 10 versus E United make a similar play, obviously a bit different, but clutching up on a defuse. Sick stuff there.
Very awkward round. Red Reserve barely gets that one secured. So what can Bance and crew do? You said Rated was one to go off. I said Bance was the one to go off. We're now watching Bance on his offensive play as he'll carry the bomb for his team as well.
And so far, at least,
I don't like the setup at all.
Another solid map from Joe. What don't you like about it, Jack?
He's just by himself in middle. Thankfully, he's able to get out with his life. I was worried there was going to be more pressure from Red Reserve in from showers. Thankfully, he's able to back up that player, kind of scare him a little bit. So now he's a little bit more secure middle map, but still, they'll give it up. He's got no opportunities there to push. What is he going to go by himself with an E-Rat up middle map?
Rated, who I was just about to say is playing kind of safe at the back tank, is going to get aggressive. He just spotted him. Will they be able to catch him? He gets into the corner. Not necessarily the best spot to be when you have an MV4. Do they check the corner? They do. He's picked off. You know, if he kept playing at the back tank where his original position was, he's probably in a pretty good spot. I don't know what the play call was there, but he gets caught out.
Ooh. And Zero just rips Shawnee off that back cover where only his head could be seen. 4 versus 2 now. Joe and Urban up against the entire Stage 1 roster. Champion roster of Splyce. They're dead shortly after. I believe Zero hit another snipe there.
Remember, Search is what Splyce just dominated at Stage 1 playoffs. They were so good from top to bottom. All the guys falling in the top 10 in overall KD. They only lose like 1 search on the weekend.
Yep.
See if they can get back to that form.
Now 1-1. What do Red Reserve do this time on offense? They still try to play mind games. So far, it looks like the exact same setup we saw in the first round of this game.
You know, a lot of these times, it's like you said, they're just baiting the transition across, because you don't really see many aggressive like defensive pushes on this map. Very, very rarely are you going to see anybody try to get forward. They're just trying to mess with them. Does it end up working? Well, not when Bance is going to take off Joe's head. Joe had almost all of his team killed.
Why is that possible? It's Splyce adapting already to the plays we've seen from Red Reserve, reading it like a book. Bance is expecting Joe to try to get close towards that medical base side to bait out some play. Before he can even get in a comfortable position, Bance cuts him down.
Urban spotting 1 mid-map. They're down a man, trying to rally here in the 3 versus 4. Still have to work on getting the bomb planted. Look at the just massive stack you have in the back of the B site. 3 yellow arrows back there, but Urban turns it into a 3 versus 3 before both drop. Suddenly it's rated all by his lonesome. Not a lot of time to work with. No chance in this round.
It's important to note Splyce are able to play with all the confidence there and knowledge of where the opponents are, because they've already spotted 2, and then Rated shows his camo player from that opposite site because he's rotated over. Once they see the camo player and Rated, they know, hey, the bomb planter's now here. We can stay 4 stacked on this site. Let's push through that middle spiral. Let's flood from that back garage, and they just swarm them in medical bay.
I think Rated just needs to avoid that spot on offense and defense. That's where we keep seeing him drop, right?
Now 0-3.
Maybe I didn't have a good choice for who was going to go off.
Don't worry, buddy. I got you with the Bance pick.
After I said this is his least favorite search map, I called him to go big.
What is Joe doing? Okay. That's a great challenge from Jerd. I don't know what Joe thought how that was going to work. You can never play from that side of the site.
Not enough help there. With one person playing the bomb, it's basically a 3v1 in that scenario with how they're hitting showers. He sees his feet, able to pick him up. Rated. Now 1 versus 2. I think Jerd just went right on the plant, just catch his feet again.
Oh.
Doesn't see him with the dead bodies there, not able to spot him. 1 versus 2. 40 seconds on the clock for the defuse. Rated found his first kill in this round. Can he turn that into 3 here with a little bit of magic?
Does he have the magic? It is Rated. The man got engaged at Disneyland. You should have all the magic in the world, but unfortunately not here. 3-1 round count lead now for Splyce.
Yeah, that just looked like such a tough spot to be in, right?
Hey, while we're waiting between rounds, we need to quickly tell the story of where we wanted to go get tacos that one night at Anaheim.
That ended up into
Rated told us to go there.
A Jack and Clint date night.
We went on a 40. It was 5 minutes away. We walked for like 40 minutes to get there. Then, because it was on the Disneyland property, we had to go through security. Then we had to wait. It was the most ridiculous. Rated made it sound so beautiful and nice. Meanwhile, it took us an hour just to get there. It was 5 minutes away.
My tacos and burrito were incredible, though.
They were. 5,000 calories later.
Yeah.
Don't regret it at all.
3-1 lead for Splyce. Can Red Reserve start to answer back? They're already down a game in the series. Jerd, if he could see X-ray like we do, there is a whole lot of Red Reserve on the other side. Now they're starting to push through Graveyard. I mean, if he had known, obviously he pushes through, he might be able to get the flank of his life. But now help comes to middle to assist Jerd. Now they realize something's up.
Yep, and look, they have no idea. They're thinking, did they push towards A? Meanwhile, bomb has been planted.
Now 3v4 retake opportunity for Splyce. Mad Cat, Jerd, and Zero. A lot of work to do. 2 trying to hit up through Spiral, 1 wrapping around to the back tank. Jerd gets tagged up immediately, tucks away into the pocket. Still able to see another day. Now, as Mad Cat peeks in, he does find a kill. 2 versus 3 now for Splyce. Zero tagged up but able to get across. Only 20 seconds to work with here, Jack.
Yeah, this is looking quite grim. Oh my gosh, almost picked him off that back dozer, but
I don't think it would have mattered, but that was almost a sick kill.
yeah, I will say, got to commend Red Reserve for the bait and switch in middle map off the start of that round. We saw Bance actually drop one player from Red Reserve down to one shot. He got into the corner. Bance stayed holding the angle, thinking he would re-challenge. A slide and quick kill came in from a full health player, a full health teammate, which got that first blood for Red Reserve and let them push towards that site with ease.
Yep, they basically enjoyed an advantage from the get-go, but still trailing. In game 2, Jerd very close to FDL. We'll take a look at the minimap for the splits. Looks to be a heavy hit towards showers right now for Splyce.
See, only payload available is that of Urban at 5 and 4. This pinch from Joe coming very early in this round alongside Urban. Zero tries to prepare for it, not going to work out there. It's another first blood for Red Reserve.
A nice aggressive play, one of the first we've seen on defense. They hit mid-map hard. They get another first blood. They turned a first blood last round into a round W. Can they go here?
Where were they going right there for a second? Vance now rotates back. He gets a quick kill. Urban's there to trade it. Jerd trying to stay alive. Mad Cat now there. It's a quick 1v2. Great cleanup from Joe. As he closes out that round, it'll now be 3-3.
That was just a crazy battle. There were five people there. I was having trouble. Yep. You could see he was having difficulty tracking the actual players. So was I. Everybody stacked up there. It ends up going Red Reserve's way, and they have back-to-back rounds, and now tied it up at 3-3.
3-3. What's got to change for you for one of these teams to take over in this game, you think?
God, I mean, I feel like all of these have been, for the most part, uncontested plants, except a couple times where we saw it at showers. I'd actually like to see some more aggressive defenses like we just saw at a Red Reserve. Ends up catching Splyce off guard. They kind of hit the flank at the perfect timing.
It's a good point to bring up. There's been 6 rounds, already 5 plants in this game. Just shows how easy these site takes have been for a lot of these teams on offense.
I think that's true for a lot of the maps currently, but I mean, that falls on the defense to try and mix it up, right?
Look at how awkward this is. Jerd and Vance have somehow snuck on through.
This is basically giving Red Reserve a taste of their own medicine. It's exactly how things started on the other end. They push up through mid. 2 kills go the way of Splyce. Complete advantage unless Joe can swing things back in their favor, but the hip fire and the slide will not fly. Splyce,
fire and slide will not fly.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was a lyric or something.
Yeah, I think you had an accent there too for a second. Vance stays hot in this game, now 9 and 4. Splyce up 4-3. So they're 2 rounds away from closing this one out. I like that. Give them a taste of their own medicine there. Red Reserve forfeit all of middle map. Joe gets an awful timing as he's trying to watch for that, close loading door. As he turns to go watch his cave flank, 2 players push on through, and that bites him in the butt.
Yeah, it looked like the exact same thing that Zero suffered from in the round previously. Okay, Splyce now back to offense. You'll probably see more of a mid-map presence from both sides as they've just experienced that flank. And that's what you're going to get. You got several players stacked up here. Bance has to be careful. I know he's been dominating, but he is your bomb carrier. Don't want to drop that in a difficult spot.
How badly does he just want to camo and make a play right now, but he's got the bomb.
He just spotted one. I don't know that he can slide in and challenge. Yeah, just having bomb makes that so tricky, but he has tagged him up. There's some help here as well. Jerd are right next to him.
Look, they're pushing him out. And now Bance can act off this. He's got his teammate too, Jerd, who's now inside visitors, and with him there, he knows, okay, something's changed. Red Reserve have moved somewhere on the map. This could develop quite quickly as Bance now giving away his position. He's trying to slide out with his life. The rear guard's not enough. Nice job by Red Reserve to get the first couple kills.
Zero wraps back to mid. It's either going to be an easy kill or Rated shooting him in the back. I won't even get to that. I was watching Rated kind of wrap through that back helipad spawn as he was pushing around, but they get dropped before it even matters. Back and forth, they continue to go the first series.
So what did Red have? They had a round 11. They had a round 10. Now here, another round 9. It's, you know what, it's reminding me of Fnatic a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Where they had like 6-5, 6-5, 6-5, 6-4, 6-5, 6-5, 6-5. Those were the scores in their games.
Oh yeah, they had so many round 11s. There you see it, tied up, 4-4,
Ooh,
9 kills.
You said Raiden was going to go big. He's 1 and 7.
He lets me down again.
It's all right, buddy. It's okay.
Yep. Joe wants to invest in Turion here, and he'll work on the bomb plant. See Zero's POV from self.
Where are Splyce? I think they're going to retake with camo. It's the only logical thing.
Yeah, but the Centurion's there. Do they realize that is the question?
What is that spot? Yeah, what a position from Urban. Love it on top of the crates inside shower door.
Well, camo player gone. Urban going big as they're trying to flood in through loading everyone one by one, just getting cut down. Brilliant round there for Red Reserve, and they're 1 round away from tying up this series at 1 apiece.
So you mentioned, you said, you know, and I agreed with you that the teams on defense had to play a little bit more aggressive towards the site. Splyce just had Bance in middle, and the rest were in their spawn, basically. That didn't work out for him there, I can tell you that.
Oh, I mean, how easy was that plant? I mean, they get uncontested control of showers, get the Centurion down, get the plant down, then they have 15 seconds before anyone pushes to get set up. It just looks very easy for Red Reserve there.
All right, well, another round begins. This time it's round 10. Red Reserve with the advantage. Bance, though, has the camo, which could be all the difference they need.
Bance looks over the top, sees one of the back hanger. He's going to preemptively pop this. He is not going to be in the gunfight before this runs out. Bance gets to a position, can't win it. Absolutely burned. Zero last man up in a 1 versus 3. Looks like we're going to have a tie series.
Zero would need an ace in this round to force the round 11. Here comes the cavalry that is Red Reserve, though. Zero trying to run away. You see that low sensitivity as he's trying to look around. Not going to happen. Red Reserve clutch on up and take map 2 6-4.
Wow, 30 rounds of S&D. Well, sorry, 31 rounds of S&D under their belts now.
They have played 17 out of 17 possible maps in these best-of-5 series.
Unbelievable stuff, and this looks to be another one that could certainly go the distance. You just saw Splyce looking very polished and uplink in their previous series.
Yep.
Red Reserve, again, they've been a little all over the place when it comes to the respawns, but heck, if you're going to keep pushing series of distance, you can keep clutching up. The question is, when does that magic run out? Well, we'll see.
Remember, Splyce and Red Reserve, you can't stress it enough. The first time they matched up went all the way to a Game 5 where Splyce were able to make the plays in Search and Destroy to take the series. Red Reserve want revenge. They have an opportunity now. This is our second round robin of the weekend. We're just getting started here. More action to come after this quick break. It's Red Reserve and Splyce, the battle for Europe, tied 1-1.
With that search and destroy victory for Red Reserve, they've tied it up at 1-1 and guaranteed we still do not have a single 3-0 this weekend. And it's crazy to think last weekend, Elevate gave us 6. The entire group gave, I mean, it was double digits for sure. Every single match on Sunday was a 3-0. Like,
it was close. I'm not sure if it was double digits, but it was pretty darn close.
I mean, it had to have been.
Fact check it. Someone fact check it.
But it's kind of crazy to think about this group, but we don't have one, and I don't know that we're going to have one.
Listen, I'm ready to bring the energy for this map 3. Jordan crew, Splyce trying to bounce back from what was a rough hardpoint loss. They win the S&D. Sorry, did I just make that up? They definitely didn't.
Red Reserve did.
Red Reserve won.
I'll tell you what, Mad Cat and Bance just had a very good uplink in the previous series.
Yeah.
This map in particular, I've seen them really go off in tandem. You know, both dropping 30+, having magnificent performances. So keep your eye on Bance and Mad Cat as this one continues to move along. But Splyce already with a lead. Shawnee maybe tying it up. There, it's through.
Wow, the confidence to go for the dunk there. A lot of players would have panicked. I guess he just thought he had the drop on him. One thing I do want to say, watch out for this battle right here. Mad Cat and Rated from this exact lane. The entire map is going to be this gunfight. This will probably happen a minimum of 15 times. That challenge right there.
Who will get the advantage is the question. Nice shots by Mad Cat on 2 players. The head of Shawnee peeled away. And there's a 1-point toss. Is Joe able to kill Bance right before he flushes another dunk on through?
Joe has, I think, any other weapon but an E-Rad right there. That is a dunk. But because he has the E-Rad, that super fast kill speed and high rate of fire, clutches on up for him there for the kill to come in. 3-2 now the lead for Splyce. Already 5 points on the board, and we're just 90 seconds in.
Yeah, how different is this than the uplink we cast in our first series of the day? Very close, very low scoring. This does not seem to be a mirror of that so far.
Yeah, if you missed that one, again, I gotta recommend you go watch it. It was between E United and Red Reserve. There was 6 total points scored. It was Red Reserve winning 4-2, but there was 6 points stopped defensively. 4 of them being interceptions, 1 of them being a body block on a dunk from Arcides to save a 2-point play. It was so insane to watch how defense basically won Red Reserve that game.
Well, we've already got 6 points and a 4-2 lead in this one. Only halfway through the first half of gameplay. Right now, Splyce members fanning out, trying to find kills. There's a body stack there, and that's easy pickings from Mad Cat. Now Drone will be picked up by Bance as Splyce start to move forward. Final player eliminated inside a ticket, and this is absolutely points. They're now pinned in the back. There is the dunk, 6-2. And this is a map where we've seen Splyce blow out many teams, some top North American teams. They are very good at precinct, and you're seeing why as they're on pace to drop, what, 24?
Look at the... how is Jerd alive? Jerd is a wizard right now. Jerd is a wizard right now. Jerd is a wizard right now. Staying alive through all of that. Now 9-5. Red Reserve haven't been able to move out on the map because they're worried about the Irishman in their base.
Somehow.
How is he alive? Oh my God, if he did that.
He would have done
That
Shawnee.
was a top play right there.
Real dirty. But yeah, incredible plays by Jerd just to be a thorn in the side of Red Reserve for what, 60 solid seconds inside a ticket? But now Bance with Drone again. They're looking to mount the pressure. There's still some tarps to deal with. 1 player inside a lobby as he slides in, trying to find the weak player. Finally, a melee to the kneecaps will get it done. Action back and forth here in lobby.
Shawnee and crew, this has been their best chance for a score since he had that cheeky little dunk earlier on. He's got a lead blocker. Multiple players up now for Splyce. That's a missed one. No one now there. That is something to keep in mind as the game goes on, as that Red Reserve should have brought it back to a 3-point game. Instead, it's Splyce now, and this is what I love about Splyce. Look at the confidence here. They just grab the drone. They don't have anyone in the lobby, so why reset it to lobby? Move it yourselves, clear the map across the way. Zero will try to go for a 1. It doesn't work out, but I have to say I like that play right there.
You just try to counterattack very quickly and put points on the board. Comes up a little bit short, but I agree with you. I like the play. Under a minute to go in here. Drone reset back to mid. Urban trying to hold mid tarps. Can't win the gunfight against Zero. Does that open things up for another opportunity here for Splyce to put points on the board?
Joe does now have lobby control for Red Reserve. Splyce, they'll have to fight through him if they want to try to go for a point, as you just mentioned. Looks like Mad Cat does cut down Urban. Joe now dead, but rated again with this NV4. I mentioned this is a spot he's going to be in the entire map, and he showed up there yet again.
He was actually the one that wrapped back to the other window inside a ticket and killed the drone carrier. Rated just got 4 kills there. Whether it was patrolling mid by statue or coming back to this mid street in the other strike position for Splyce. Rated cut it all down and showing why he was one of our better uplink players from stage 1. The final seconds will tick away. It'll be a 6-2 lead for Splyce, and honestly, all those points kind of came in the first 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yep.
It really, the action kind of slowed down there over the final couple.
And a lot of it just came down to teams not being able to, you know, get a full 3 or 4 dead and move up with the drone. Here's your final kill from Jerd as he shut down Rated, but either way, we have ourselves a tight game going into side 2. Wondering if it's explosive of scores as we saw in the first half. 90 seconds, 5 points on the board combined between the two teams. Right now, it's a 6-2 Splyce lead as they're up by 2 possessions.
And part of that, too, you talked about that matchup between Mad Cat and also Rated from those key positions. You see Mad Cat playing where we just saw Rated go off. Mad Cat enjoyed kind of early advantage on that. Rated started to come alive more in the latter half.
There were 8 3-0s last weekend.
What was it, 8?
8 3-0s.
Oh, man, I was hoping it was 10 or more.
6 alone.
That's still so many, like 8 3-0s.
Oh,
and we may not have any this weekend.
Hey, you know what? I like having 0 3-0s. I can tell you that much. As Bance will now reset this drone towards middle. You can see Bance 8 and 12 right now, but 5 of his team's 6 points. He's just making sure that no matter what happens, whether it might not be in the kill department, he's getting the points when his team needs him to. Cut down just before he could throw that drone. So Red Reserve will go ahead and grab it and move right towards Statue as they look to have one of their first offensive plays since the first minute of this map.
Yeah, I mean, if you've done anything well for Red Reserve trailing by 4, it's that you have
only trailing by 4.
You've slowed Splyce down and you've kept it within striking distance, right? Like at one point, I think I mentioned Splyce was on pace for 24 points. They haven't scored since I said that. So it has been much, much better from Red Reserve. They've certainly adapted.
Did you jinx them?
Maybe. I could be part of it too.
I think you did. Oh. Joe only tags 1. I like the lobby control we're seeing from Red Reserve. FTL jump. Okay, there's the kill. Finally, that was a little bit sloppy from both players, but it winds up working out. The final trade comes in for Mad Cat, and Splyce will claim back lobby control for themselves. So what do? They move it towards Statue, throw the drone down, and try to slay on out.
Rated very good in the latter half of the first part of this one. Starts off very strong now in the second half. He's 20 and 12, very close to camo. Hitting up the mid street, he's got Joe leading the way. Joe puts some shots and can't finish the kill. That's not going to go through. There's 2 players stacked to close it out. Good defense from Splyce.
Sloppy. Sloppy, in my opinion, right there. That should have been points for Red Reserve. They tried to force the 1 through. They had time to work with. He could have gone for the high throw. He could have gone up in towards, you know, top station and then rotated it through this doorway on the side.
I think once he saw Joe drop in front of him, he was just like, God, I got to try and get this out of my hands.
And look at Mad Cat right now. Typically, you don't see teams do this unless, you know, there's about a minute left in this game where they're trying to stall out time. He brings it all the way back through Gas Alley. I mean, this is still on his side of the base. Everyone's here from Red Reserve.
Well, this should feed them points. They're going to come off spawn.
This should be a dunk off this.
With Red Reserve flying at him, the spawn comes in back alley for most of the players. Rated with drone, rated with the dunk. 6-4, and I don't know if they were trying to burn clock there, trying to maybe spread out Red Reserve. I don't know what the hell the plan was.
Merc just turned the oven on, baby. He's ready to cook.
It didn't work.
He's ready to roast this team right now. Because what did I just watch?
You just handed Red Reserve their opportunity to get right back in this game.
they had no offense for 5 minutes, so you know what? Splyce, like, here, we'll help you out. Take the drone right in front of our base.
Well, does the errant play cost him? Vance trying to throw a 1-pointer over the top, just a little bit deep. That rebounds back in, so you can't push it out to a 2-possession game, and the clear comes through. Notice Red Reserve does not grab the drone and run around apartments.
Yes, they do not. They clear it from their base as fast as they possibly can. 6-4, still the score for Splyce. 90 seconds left. The big thing to take note of. Urban with his payload ready. Joe with his payload ready. Rated 1 kill off active camo. These could all be the tools necessary for Red Reserve to finally come back in this game.
Oh yeah, this is 100% winnable because you don't have a great game out of Vance right now. He may not get towards his payload. He probably won't. Zero's not going to get there either. Now it's the overdrive, speeding on through. It's a tie game, baby. 60 seconds left, and Joe still melting as they're trying to come off a spawn. Rated was inside a lobby. He's going to get set up here.
Oh, I thought Rated was just going to touch the drone for a second.
Get camo?
Yeah. Picking up the drone would have given him 25 points to give him that camo.
I mean, he should still get it. Just needs an assist. Just needs anything. But now his teammates all dropping around him. He has to get a kill here. There you go. You get the kill. Even if he dies, he has time to come off spawn. They need to set up. He has to rely on his teammates to make some plays in lobby, and that's going to be on Shawnee. Shawnee's here. Jerd pushes in. Shawnee is evaporated.
Jerd's shot right now this game looking quite fresh at 26 and 21. 26 seconds remaining. Still Splyce in control of the lobby. Mad Cat just trying to stay alive. Building the range he can. Camo now ready for Bans. Pop it right now. Here it goes to win the game. Force team. There it is. Splyce now up 8-6. Has Raiden even used his camo?
I didn't even think Bans was going to get his camo because he still had a ways to go. He ends up going clutch on the stretch.
Look, the overdrive back to his
seconds.
spawn.
Mad Cat's got it. Now you can dance in the spawn with the drone.
There you go.
Splyce clutch up, 8-6 victory. I thought he was only like 80%. I didn't even think he was going to get the camo. He finds a couple of kills, picks it up, and that ends up being the clutch play they needed.
My goodness, that is a rough loss right there. If you're Red Reserve, you're mounting the comeback inside 2. You score 4 unanswered points. You earn 3 major payloads at the end. One of them overdrive, obviously, which you use for dunk. One of them active camo. Camo is never used on the side of Red Reserve, something you rarely see. No opportunity there in the
Exactly. To be fair, that's not really a knock to Rated, just he didn't have a chance. Once he died, like I said, he had to rely on his teammates to make plays around lobby. For him to even get in a position to get the drone and pop the camo, that never happened. He never got the opportunity to use it, so I'm sure very frustrating for Rated and Red Reserve as they lose a very, very close one.
Especially when you only lose by 2, which a camo typically means a dunk.
And a couple interceptions on either side, but again, I continue to be impressed by when I feel like Red Reserve might be blown out in a respawn, like when it was 6-2 early, Splyce is rolling, they keep hanging in these games. And when they give themselves a chance, they prove that they can come up when they need to. They can come up clutch. The question is, can they continue to push this series along?
Another good sign as well is that they've punished the mistakes of Splyce that we saw a couple times on that map. You think of the back gas play with Mad Cat having that drone.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what the deal was there, because I know, again, if there are 15 seconds left of the game and you're trying to burn clock and end it, that makes sense to me there.
I guess a couple things. One, Mad Cat began to run that way because he had no one alive inside station. So there was a flank already coming in from top station towards his portal. I don't think he was, for one, expecting the player to be that close. 2, there was another player who had already gotten in position at Cherry Blossom. So they basically had like a crossfire down on the gas and just wiped everyone on Splyce off the map.
It's just, you never want to be fighting out of gas.
We talked about Rated and how he needed to turn things back around in uplink today from a little bit of a struggling performance yesterday with just a .97 KD. Now look at the numbers, 1.29. He plays so comfortably on that map, but it's just not enough as they fall short.
And for Bance, you know, I said him and Mad Cat typically really go off there. Did he get it done in the slang? No, he did not. But 7 of the 8 points, he makes the plays when they matter. And it's interesting, you know, just seeing him with the objective in his hand. You know, just thinking back to last year, it was always I know different teams, but like you just think Jerd was like one of the best at the 1-point tosses. I know obviously Uplink played different in Black Ops 3 than this game, but it's just, it's like I have engraved in my head that I expect the drone always to be in Jerd's hand, but it's Bance making the plays.
Scorch Hardpoint is map 4. Everyone was talking about the 250-50 destruction that E-United threw down onto Splyce yesterday to close out day 1 of Group Yellow. Can Splyce now bounce back on the same map here against Red Reserve? Or will we see another game 5?
And this is a map where, you know, we've talked about Joe being up and down. Joe has been abysmal on Scorch. And he's tweeted about it. He's like, I think he just said, like, I do not like Scorch, or something to that effect, probably with a different language. But he's been really struggling here. He cannot get it going.
Well, he speaks English.
Oh, does he? I do not.
No, you don't. As now, Shawnee, Erad out, challenge dead as Mad Cat's ready for it. Kill advantage over to Splyce now as they get first control of the hard point.
Bance doing work down with the MV4. He's 3-0 already, only a kill off the Scarab. They have spawns for their side. The number 1 you see pushing across the bridge is going to be Urban, who's trying to get him from behind. They sniff it out, and they're now looking for the flanker. That couldn't have been more perfect. That's just kind of an internal clock you have for people coming off spawn.
Yep, Mad Cat picks that one on up. Thankfully, will force Red Reserve to just challenge straight-up gunfights in middle map, which I'm sure Splyce is more than happy with. If you're a Red Reserve fan, though, your team's coming out on top so far. 3 now dead, 0 cut down. Everyone from Splyce wiped off the map.
They try. I was wondering if maybe Joe was going to try and fly forward as quickly as he can. Maybe get some of those players from Splyce to actually spawn out. Not able to get there in time, so Splyce does get the favorable spawn. They're all set up on Turbine. They've got control. Now on Joe and company to break. New hard point up. Here we go.
New hard point. Joe, oh wow, what an angle being held right there by 0. You don't see that too often, laying down in the back. 4 dead, Red Reserve stopped the first push.
It's so tough early in the game when you don't have any payloads to assist with the break there. You don't have maybe like a Scarab or anything to assist trying to fly through. It's just all gun skill on 4 very talented players, all holding behind cover. First push comes up not for Red Reserve.
Cheeky. I love these positions.
Yeah, you might not even have the crack at this. You have to fight through Jerd, who's so far pushed out. Look at the number 8 on the minimap. Zero's already all the way in the back of Hangar with 20 seconds remaining. This is disastrous for Red Reserve right now.
It definitely is. I think Zero's been spotted, so that's a silver lining there. So they will recover on the opposite side of the map and actually get the 10 seconds of scrap time. So this won't, out of all the scenarios, that's probably the best thing that could have happened.
I did not see it playing out at all like that. Once I saw Zero already pushing through, Jerd had control mid-map, but Red Reserve win every gunfight by Turbine. They win all the gunfights then pushing towards rocks. And you're set up for a moment. As soon as I say that, Splyce then wins all the victories. over at Hangar, they've regained control.
Nobody in back rocks, though, for Splyce, and because of that spawn they just got up at Warehouse, they've now got to be worried about that area of the map, especially now that Jerd has been cut down by Rated. They know the goal of Red Reserve is to get the spawns, so what do? They focus this side, but now look at the pinch.
Yep.
Look at Joe pinching on towards the hard point. He's the thorn in the side yet again, like we've always seen this weekend.
We always talk about breaking Hangar, how it has to be a 2- or 3-pronged attack, right? You can't just all flood over the wall run, flood through a bridge, even all flood through rocks. You need to hit from multiple angles. That was textbook stuff. Really good execution from Red Reserve.
So Splyce, where we've seen this team succeed in hardpoint in the past, is, you know, they rotate, they get the kills in rotation, they handle things out in slaying, and then they just wind up getting, 40 of the 60 seconds on each hill. They rotate early, they wind up getting the first 40, they give up the scrap time, they prepare for the new one, and they just keep expanding on that lead. So far, they're up by 20. They get the kills in rotation. They're looking to do the same thing here at Drill.
Well, we just got right back to Rated because he's on a 7 streak. He's fully streaked out, building towards camo. Early in this one, Rated still alive, getting the points for the hard point as well. Just trying to figure out where the push is coming from. Nice shots as his teammate drops. He's able to clean it up. Just trying to hop cover to cover. Good positioning from Rated. Even better shots from Rated allowed him to really explode there.
And after all that, Splyce just get back into the hard point. Rated was the only one winning those gunfights right now.
But that's why the streak ends up being important, because you can actually come now try to pick up some kills. How is it not connected on Nidney?
Because they're all hiding. They're all hiding inside control. Now they're just going to flood this. Scarab out. Streaks, 2 streaks have been used. Thankfully, what should help the side of Red Reserve is that team kill. But no, they use, what do they use? Trinity Rocket and Scarab to get 5 seconds of time on this hill.
Yeah, that was awkward. I thought he was at least going to pick up the 1 player inside of the hard point. Like you said, everybody else stacked up in drill control. Doesn't work out well for Red Reserve, but they're still, like every other game, they're still in this, right? Still fully able to fight back. We're now into our second side of rotations. 3 kills in the kill feed going the way of Red Reserve. Joe, who has struggled here, solid effort thus far, 13-8. He's got 4 kills in a row. Let's get over to Joe. Let's show him some love. He hasn't been great on this particular map. Right now, though, he's showing up big time.
Bance and Jerd have just flopped from map 3 to map 4. It was Bance who had, what, that 0.6 KD last map? Jerd, who was like positive 8 or 9 at some points. Now it's a completely different story. Splyce still up by 20 seconds. Red Reserve are in control of the new spawns and the next hardpoint when it moves there. Urban trying to go for some nice challenges in the middle. Unfortunately, doesn't work out for him there.
It is funny sometimes watching Urban how much he reminds me of Nagafin. Whether it is, being...
Think of this map, but he would do that high wall run?
Being really good at the wall runs and, finding kills that way. We talk about the pistols between the 2 players, how they're 2 of the best in the world. It's kind of similar play style sometimes from these 2.
They're long-lost brothers. It's the only explanation. Here comes the Red Reserve Cavalry. 4 surging out. First blood to Joe. Second challenge now from Joe as well. Make it all 3. He'll be the one-man wrecking crew that wipes the snakes of Splyce off the map.
Joe, man. I call him out before this one, but this has been great. And this is, I know there's been some bad maps, but he's been rough throughout the year. If they get this Joe on a consistent basis where he's performing in respawns, gets back to maybe Black Ops 3 type Joe, this team just becomes scarier and scarier, man. But Rated, still here. Him and Joe have combined forces yet again on this squad.
Lead change.
Yup, they get all the time there in Turbine. What an amazing hold. Now the pressure is going to be on Splyce to get the beginning time here on Hangar.
And somehow, Mad Cat has let Urban stay alive inside this hill. Urban gets 2. How is this happen? Urban just killed all 3 players. Thankfully, Zero gets back there in time.
But Shawnee, I didn't see when the spawn came in exactly, but they get a little bit of a split. He actually spawns one in the back pocket, so Zero will have some pressure to deal with here. Red Reserve continuing to flood in. Can't find him, can't locate him, but Jerd there to help him out. Another lead change. Splyce now back in front. 40 seconds remaining in Hangar, and now maybe for a moment they get a little breathing room.
You'd think that, but still, Joe and Rated now knocking at the front door. Joe going to challenge on in. The two players who are +7 and +8 respectively. Will put some pressure on. Still, Joe gets 2 before he dies.
And it's like you have a 4v2 right there. 2 players from Red Reserve coming off a spawn. That's why I thought finally Splyce will be able to get set up. Red Reserve said, screw it. The 2 guys end up going big, finding kills. They've at least done a good job contesting here, making sure Splyce doesn't get a ton of points. Splyce obviously building the lead a bit, but it could have been uglier than it was.
165 to 149. When we went to the first drill on the map, the first set of rotations, it was a 20-second difference. Again, that will be the same story. We've seen moments of brilliance from Red, but they just can't hold on to the lead once they get it back.
Zero now.
You can't lose those.
Losing on one-on-one to Shawnee, had him down to 1 bullet. Who's going to get the majority of time in drill? Your kills leader right now, Joe, at 24 and 17 with some shaky shots as he can't do it. On with Rated. He's got Camo to work with. Still has the bombardment. Still has a Scarab, which could be a big tool in, breaking into something like a Turbine, which we spoke about earlier. We'll see how he invests that one into the game.
Here comes bombardment, just trying to push players out of the hill, force them into deck. Thankfully for Splyce, they have enough numbers in here to challenge any gunfight. Rated with the quick turn and burn on a Jerd. 187 to 167, still 20 seconds the difference.
Yeah, you can't really fault Rated for not coming up with kills here. I mean, this is the hard point if you're going to use streaks, you do it on, right? It's the most open. Unfortunately, last time, everyone able to jettison into drill very quickly. This time, everyone gets into observation deck, so his bombardment and Trinity come up with nothing, but it's kind of hard to blame him from using it here. Yeah. This is the hard point you do it on.
Splyce are now 49 seconds away from taking this series. Or can Red Reserve force their 4th Game 5 of the weekend? Beat down and shot from Mad Cat. He's now fully streaked out as well.
Mad Cat has been sensational. He gets caught as he calls in the bombardment, but here it comes. Vance waiting for the way to be cleared. Dangerously close, but he will secure the entry points here for the next hard point. Connects with a nade onto 2 players as well. He's got them both tagged up, just needs some help. Tries to turn and burn, but it's Joe yet again coming in from behind. Joe is doing everything he can to keep his team in this game.
Mad Cat. Woo. Mad Cat is going off 25 and 18 from a 6 streak now to another 3 streak. Splyce now up by 30. The pinch from Joe as again he just tries to be the thorn in the side.
Yeah, it makes you think of the throwback uplink where he just kept getting behind, just taking different routes in order to get those flanks in. Vance though, look at his positioning compared to all the red arrows on the map. Rated, surprise.
Guys heard Rated start screaming the call out, not expecting that at all. Jerd now with FTL jump, wondering if he uses it here to try to engage. Unfortunately, 2 players behind cover. There's one final push coming in at Zero from the side of Splyce. He's trying to contest 215 to 202 the score.
They finally break in. No heroics from Urban this time. They've cracked the 220 mark. You have Camo though for Rated. You gotta invest it here. You can win the game if you're Splyce. Here goes Camo. It's out, looking for it. Scorcher's coming through as well. Gets to the back pocket. First shot doesn't finish it due to the back armor. Yeah, I hear Rated just screaming right now, so loud, trying to get his boys hyped up and get the call-outs in. 15 seconds left. Splyce has given this up. They're setting up for Hangar. It's all coming down to this, buddy.
Oh, it's going to be a 2-second game. This has been the story of Red Reserve the entire map. Can they finally make it happen? Vance clutching it up with the 2-piece. Jerd with the FTL jump challenge. Has the help of Mad Cat for the kill. They've just got to watch this top bridge area as they're about to get flooded. I don't think they're ready for this.
Mad Cat is ready for all. 2 kills, tags up another as well. He's going to have to deal with all the pressure, and he is up to the task. It's Vance that finally takes him out. But if you're Red Reserve, you got one more push of this. That's all you've got. Joe, the only one with anything to work with from a payload capacity.
Stay alive if you're Vance. He's about to get flanked. One snuck in from the back door. They've got a pinch there, but Zero with the 2-piece. The 3rd now from Zero. Reactive armor is all they need. GG. Splyce will end their weekend against Red Reserve at a 2-0 series lead.
And that's big due to what we talked about earlier, right? If this comes down to a head-to-head tie between these 2 squads, let's say, E United ends up having the advantage. Maybe they're tied in that 2nd and 3rd spot. You now control that head-to-head tiebreaker. You get victories 3-2, 3-1 over Red Reserve in the EU versus EU matchup. Splyce reigns supreme.
Splyce, they're recovering. Simple as that. They're trying to patch up their wounds from day one, see exactly what they can do moving forward. They've reset their mindset now moving into tomorrow. They were looking definitely better today. Still, again, a lot they can improve upon.
Well, I think it's just the big thing. You know, they've looked vulnerable at times. You know, LG dropped one series, I know, in their week. If you're talking about who we consider to be the 2 top teams in the world right now. They dropped one to Fnatic, but they already had everything secured. Splyce still looking to get back to that stage 1 playoff run where they were so devastating. Deep run at Anaheim as well, but you know what? It was enough to get the victory there over Red Reserve, still controlling their own destinies. But Ben, guys, what were your thoughts?
Thank you very much, Maven. Thank you, Jack. For the first time this weekend, Red Reserve don't go to a game 5. So that's a first, I guess. But in terms of the series, Splyce, of course, looking very, very good. It seems as if maybe they're starting to get a little bit back into the swing of things. Maybe not exactly the same as the Stage 1 champions. There's definitely still room for improvement, it seems. But we'll break down that series now, starting, of course, with the throwback hardpoint. And, I mean, one of the big parts of this, Mark, something that you kind of noted, baseball for Splyce. It was just dominated. I believe it was 105 points to just 20 of Red Reserve. You can't let that happen.
Yeah, just the amount of resources that Splyce would put towards it, it's just so ridiculous, especially Zero. He was always in the back. You heard the guys who were casting it just talk about it. They focused this hill so much. And it kind of reminded me of Scorch, right? We always focus about Turbine. Similar here, we used to talk about Barn all the time. Now it's about baseball. They do such a great job to make sure they rotate from that bridge hill or that bike path over to baseball, and I feel like it was the difference maker. And we even saw, I forget who it was, I believe Rated popped camo for Bans. Or was it Bans? Yeah. Surprising there because he knows how important baseball is, but you know, just a great job by Splyce to lock up this game #1.
Definitely a questionable camo that came through. I know we kind of had a little bit of a mini discussion whilst the game was going on. It is worth saying, though, that was a big steal for Splyce because Red Reserve were so confident in that map, Momo. I mean, I feel like I expected them to win it as well.
Yeah, when they lost that hard point, I just first thought, well, they're not going to win the Scorch. You know, if they can't win their best game type, which they've been dominating on throughout Europe, obviously, in the last couple of weeks, then what are they going to do on Scorch? Ironically, they do just as good on Scorch as well, but I will say, from the get-go of this series, for me, Joe kind of stepped up, and this is what I wanted. This is, you know, the Joe that I've been wanting for quite a while now, and he seems to be finding his feet, whether that's because he's against a European team, I'm not sure, but he seems to be, I don't want to say finding his role in this team because he's had that same role. He knows what to do, but I think he's just a bit more confident. Something's working for him, whatever it is.
Comfort level. May well be, you know, Europe versus Europe. Obviously, you might feel just a little more comfortable. You've scrimmed against that team a lot. You played against that team a lot as well. Maybe you just have a little bit more knowledge on how that team is going to play. But moving forward, we'll talk about the Search and Destroy. It was Breakout. This one went in Red Reserve's favor, 6-4. And to be honest, Bans again with another questionable camo. We kind of had that discussion.
Oh, 100%. Him camoing on one of those last rounds there. It's just, you never want a blind camo. We've roasted people many, many times throughout Infinite Warfare, even going back to last year, without any sort of extra information, using such a vital payload ability in a situation like that. Yes, his teammates got caught out from the spiral side no matter what, so it probably wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day, but regardless, if you use that in a post-plant scenario, it's just like a bunch of random mistakes that we're not used to seeing in Search and Destroy specifically from Splyce, that it's just weird. I don't know if it's communication, I don't know who's calling the shots in situations like that, but it's really getting to that point where do you switch camo players? I don't want to take that away from Bance. His kill category in Search and Destroy has been completely fine, and the fact that he's been slaying so much in the game type is very, very good, but the amount of just weird camo plays from him has been not so good.
Yeah, it's not the first time as well. You know, again, you can't kind of knock him because his S&D's been very good. It's kind of like the whole Clayster thing we were saying before. But when it comes to crunch time, sometimes with that camo, bit of a misplay. I remember on Throwback, he kind of blind camo through the middle, or reactive, whatever it was at the time.
Reactive.
I just think, you know, there needs to be a bit more sense going into the payload.
I remember that play.
Yeah, you did.
It's difficult to watch as well from kind of a viewership point of view. You guys at home will have seen it. Yes, his teammates go down, but if his teammate gets the kills near Spiral, that camo would have been almost even worse. You know, bit of panic mode maybe set in for them. They didn't obviously want to lose that round. They were 5-4 down already. They'd lost the previous round, but overall, poor camo.
Pretty much. One interesting stat for you guys in terms of that map too was Red Reserve, they got 5 first bloods. Urban got every single one of them, and every time they got a first blood, they won the round.
Nah, him and Joe were absolute beasts. I think the other two had like 3 and 3 kills. They had like 12 and 13, so a great job from that sort of duo that we've talked about. You know, Joe obviously stepped up huge this series. Urban been one of those guys who we said he can go off at any time, so a great game from them.
Moving forward, of course, we'll talk a little bit now about map number 3, the uplink on Precinct. This one goes in Splyce's favor, but again, it was a close one, 8-6. And to be honest, it just seemed as if gas side team was just being utilized just very, very well. It was almost standard uplink that you expect to see on this map.
100% back and forth, both teams utilizing the favorable side of the map so darn well. Another point I want to bring up for Splyce and uplink specifically is the fact I think every single time we've seen an uplink from them throughout this weekend, they get a dunk like right away within the first 30 seconds to a minute. They're so good at getting that early score and setting the momentum in their favor. Red Reserve, though, have to commend them in the second half for utilizing this overdrive right here to get this tied up. They were down 2 dunks. Unfortunately, though, they had this. The Splyce had this in the back pocket.
Yeah, finally a good camo comes through for Bance in the series. He gets the game-winning 2-point dunk. On the flip side, Rated, of course, didn't actually get to use his camo, something which I'm sure they'll go back and look at and say, you know, if we had been able to use it, there could have been some points, at least at the very minimum, 1-point play. But remember, the thing that you really touched on was Mad Cat's consistency. We haven't really given him a lot of love, but he truly has had a fantastic day 2.
Yeah, day 2, I think as well. Yesterday, he was Mr. Consistent for his team, and we said this all year round. Bant and Zero, superstars of the team. This weekend, they've both had good and bad moments. Mad Cat, for me, has been their lights-out player. Going into tomorrow, you know, he's kind of my player that has impressed me this weekend so far. And as well, I do think kind of the next, you know, tomorrow, these next couple of games, they're so important. That's where the veterancy kind of comes through. Yep. Joe touched on it a couple of times as well. Judd and Mad Cat have been bouncing off each other so much this weekend. And I actually think if they weren't playing to that standard, it could have been even worse for them.
Very true. Very true. Of course, then we head over to map number 4. It was Hardpoint on Scorch. Splyce take it and take the series 3-1. The final score 250-224. Something interesting to note as well, Merc, was Rated gets himself 4 streaks very, very early on. Were you surprised, really, that Red Reserve weren't able to kind of spiral that?
I mean, not really. I feel like they had a really slow start. Splyce did a really good job, you know, winning Turbine, winning that first Bridge Hill. I felt like Red's rotations, they pushed that first Turbine, and that allowed Splyce to get hanger control. I felt that was off again. We've seen so many teams sort of not pay attention to hanger, and where that's a lot of teams are sort of punishing them. Even that last hill break, they didn't go all the way around. What we talked about last week, teams trying to force themselves, and that lower tunnel and that top door just doesn't make sense. Get around the back, get those spawns. But again, those streaks, I mean, it's tough with Scorch. There's so many little buildings, so many things to hide around. But I just feel like Red are, they're just so close to beating Splyce every single time. I'm sure this series really ticked them off.
Yeah, it's a small step away. And speaking on those streaks that Rated got, the fact that he calls the Trinity on drill, I think it's a perfect time to do it. But when you have buildings on either side, you need to flood one of those chokes first and then call that Trinity. The fact that Splyce was able to flood 3 players in that little square building and not be punished for that is a huge mistake in my opinion. The Trinity was, they didn't get anything out of it basically. I think with Clint and Jack were casting, and they said, oh, they just used a Trinity and got, what, 5 seconds out of it?
That's yeah, they lost it right after.
Right, so the fact that they aren't able to take the majority of time on Drill Hill when you have so much utility is a mistake. The streak was fine. The rest of the teammates need to follow up and punish them for being put in a bad spot.
For sure. Big win for Splyce, of course. When you talk head-to-head now in tiebreaker scenarios, they have 2 wins over Red Reserve, so they would lead in the result of a tiebreaker over Red Reserve. Excited to see how the rest here of week 3 starts to develop, but we should move forward to talk a little bit about score streak. Of course, we had our score streak prediction game going on in that last series. Curious to see how well you guys would have done. You've not been doing very well recently, Memo. I'm going to throw you under the bus here.
Wow.
When it comes to the score streak prediction game, you're probably the worst on the desk.
Well, you know what? We'll see. We'll see with this one. Ask
we'll
me
see.
Questions.
All right, all right. Question number 1 during map number 1 was which team will win game 1? You said it was going to be Red Reserve.
No,
guess what? You would have been 0-1.
Okay. I'm going to go. No, I would have said Red Reserve. I kind of put my full faith into Rated, and yeah, they lost.
That's 2 times. He's like, we haven't lost. Rutala hard point. We haven't lost.
It was actually my mistake. It was throwback that he was kind of so confident on, and the one point I do take, he was like, we've been hammering everyone in Europe about this, but they've not played Splyce, obviously. Splyce are a top 2, top 3 team in the world.
Yep.
That's a different caliber to the rest of Europe.
Very true,
You know,
of course.
so very close games though.
Yeah, 63% of you said Splyce was going to take it, and you, in fact, were correct. In map number 2, we asked, will any player finish with over 10 kills? 74% of you guys got it right as well, because, yes, they did. 26% said no. Tipa, I feel like you probably would have said yes on that one.
Yeah, especially on a breakout. As long as you're going past round 9, there's usually one player that's really stepping up and getting 10, so I think that's a pretty safe call. Nice job to 74%.
74%, doing pretty well.
I think I would have got that one right. Just want to throw that one out there.
Nah.
Don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah, don't think you would have done. Map number 3, we asked, how many points will Shawnee score? Shawnee, a player who's impressed all of us on the desk. 56% of you guys, I believe, got this correct. Less than 3, he scored 2 points. Merc, how would you have gone? Shawnee's had a great day.
I would have said yeah. I would have said A. I just feel like, 3 points is kind of a lot for one player. Obviously, Baines had 7 in that game number 3, so big props to him. But yeah, good job. I think majority of the questions they got right. I'm proud of them. You guys are getting smarter.
We'll see.
Evolving.
We'll see just how smart people are, because we have our leaderboard coming up. Of course, yesterday the highest streak was 5. I believe it has improved just a little bit, only by 2 though. It's going to be at 7. The record, 13. That's definitely tough to beat. Phil, your name's not on there.
Shane's playing.
My current high streak is 2.
2.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit behind these guys, but fair play to
I feel like
Flex and
I feel like I could guess the answers and probably get better than 2.
I mean, most of them are 50-50, Ben. So I'd expect to, but yeah. Apart from that, I suck at score streaks.
It's okay. Of course, for any of you that want to play along at home, the Score Streak Prediction Game exclusive to MLG.tv/COD. You can get your up-to-date event statistics, and you have featured player POVs over there as well, which is also very, very exciting. But coming up next on the main stage, Rise take on E United. Of course, this is the second time we've seen these two teams play. The first time, E United took the series 3-1. But boy, oh boy, was that a crazy, crazy series. I mean, the first hard points, you can make or both hard points, you can make the serious argument Rise should have won.
Oh, 100%. Rise looked so darn good in that first series of the weekend, but since then, well, not so much, I guess. I think United has really found their form. They're starting to get that confidence. I think this one's going to be somewhat of a wipe, in my opinion. Aqua tweeting out some things that he's not too happy, that he's kind of practicing for nothing. So a bit of a drama maybe going on within the lineup. It's not looking too good for him.
Absolutely. No, I mean, there was a quick glance at our maps, Merc. How do you see this one kind of panning out?
Throwback, I feel like he's going to be pretty tough for these guys. I just think Pristini and RC's the twins. They're nasty. I think they're going to take over. Breakout S&D, I think that's one they could take. I think their S&D has been pretty solid. Precinct uplink, I don't know about that one. I feel like that's one of E United's standard uplink maps, so not looking too good for Rise.
Not looking too good. Of course, Rise currently set with a pretty poor record, Momo. Is this their first series win?
I don't think so. I think poor record, poor attitude going into this, like Teep said, some questionable things going out. And the worrying thing is you end a Saturday, what could be very much 0-4. The rest of the teams, they're all bagging two wins. It's just not looking good for Rise. Yes, they're putting some very strong performances, and against the United, I think some of the guys on the desk were saying, they could have won the first 4 matches.
Could have been a 4-0.
Yeah, it arguably should have, but I just feel, are they kind of doubting themselves now? Do they have that same confidence that they had in Game 1? Probably not.
Well, good point. Still plenty of action, however, here at Week 3 of Stage 2 of the CWL Global Pro League. Day 2 is coming to a conclusion with just one more match left on the day. Rise versus E United still to come as both teams fight for their spot at the Stage 2 playoffs.